Welcome to the next edition of Frankly Franklin. Today we're talking about something incredibly important, emergency services and how those work in a city. I'll tell you, I've had a fire in my home and it is scary. And if it weren't for the firefighters, I might have lost my dog, might have lost my entire home. So I'm a huge emergency services person. I think I ran one of your races here, and we had a firefighter who protected me from an errant car that happened. So I'm a huge Franklin fan here. I'm standing here today. Thank you to your firefighters very much. Appreciate that. But we're going to talk a little bit about emergency services, how they work, why we need them, and some of the decisions that you guys have to make coming up soon. So, you know, you used to be a fire chief. I don't think there's anybody better to talk about the emergency services that you guys provide here than you. So tell us a little bit about the emergency services Franklin provides and how unique it is that as a city you provide them all on your own.
Yeah.
And why? Why is that important?
I tell you, I obviously have a very soft space in my heart for fire and emergency services, emergency medical services specifically, but our dispatchers as well, because
Absolutely.
In my previous life, I not only worked for the fire department, but I was also a 911 dispatcher.
Sure.
And so coming into this position, it's one of the reasons why 25 years ago I came here. At the time, Franklin provided only fire protection services.
Yep.
We responded to fire calls and motor vehicle crashes, and that was it. Our 911 calls are answered here locally by dispatchers in the city of Franklin.
Some award-winning dispatchers as well.
Some award-winning dispatchers.
You have some dispatchers who have done some incredibly award-winning work. Finding missing children. I mean, we're talking
They are
serious
difference
stuff.
makers. They
Absolutely.
are difference makers.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, a lot of people don't recognize the true value of people who live in this community or near this community and work with these officers, police officers, and the firefighters and the paramedics on a daily basis.
Yeah.
That relationship is critical. They know where the individual landmarks are. They know what different
fastest route.
Conversations mean, or, you know, if somebody says something, they have that recognition. It's not just someplace, somewhere else. It is here. It is local. They do ride-alongs with our police and fire folks, so that they understand what the job is and why our folks in the field are asking for certain things.
Sure.
And we have a tenured group. They've been here for a long time, and those relationships are strong. So that's important.
Sure.
But I came here primarily because Franklin was looking on taking on EMS services, doing a fire-based EMS service at the time. That turned out to be an incredibly challenging process. We have tried to kind of bring all of those services together for a very, very long time. Ultimately, we weren't able to do so. But for the betterment of this community, for getting fire and EMS services on the scene quicker, with a higher level of certification, and taking that even beyond just the normal day-to-day answering a 911 call, but starting to address things like homelessness or substance use.
Yes.
Taking those initiatives to the next level really does make a difference in this community.
Huge.
And fire-based EMS is how we were able to get that done.
Okay. All right. So the fire levy, let's talk about some education stuff here. The fire levy almost passed, right?
Sure did.
We just had it on the ballot. It almost passed. And Mayor, you guys have some decisions that you're trying to make coming up. And we're going to be asking our community to give you some feedback, especially if you've never been online before and answered any of our questions. Please go online and answer some questions for this, because it will be imperative, because you in council, you guys have some decisions to make about, are you going to put the fire levy back on the ballot again? Why is it important? What do people want? Why everything, right? I mean, so tell me, how are you going to make these decisions? What are you thinking of? What is council thinking? Why is it important to even consider putting it back on the ballot?
We're going to make this decision based on the same way we make every decision. We're going to engage the community and see what their needs are. When the fire levy first came to discussion, we put one on 13 years ago?
Yeah.
13 years ago,
Yep.
saying that it should last about 10 years. We've stretched that money to 13 years. Everything we do is just, we kind of scrutinize every detail and try to get the most bang for the buck for the residents and the tax dollars. We've been able to get 13 years out of those 10 years worth of funds, had to bring it back to the community. But we know property taxes went up statewide. We know the schools have needs that they're discussing.
Right.
And so we thought, what's palatable to the community? So we had countless, three specific town halls about the fire.
Right.
But we also had town halls at the school. We had different events, Q&A sessions where we kept bringing this up. And then the three specific fire and EMS levy discussions were held at our fire and EMS division. And Chief Stitzel walked through every need.
Okay.
Then asked, are the needs valid? Is this something that you would be willing to fund? And if not, which parts could we remove?
Right.
And to fund it, here's the different levels for what we put out at a $200,000 home. You always see the flyers and everything that says $100,000. It's not that applicable anymore.
Right.
It is to certain homes, but a more accurate average is for a $200,000 home, here's what it's going to cost you. And we got that feedback continuously. And so that's what we went with for the decision. It barely failed, less than 100 votes.
Right. Well, I mean, you're saying you put it on the ballot because the people asked you to. People said, we want these services. That showed up, we believe that these services and the needs are realistic, and so put it on the ballot.
They heard the needs.
Okay.
We didn't have a single person say, no, I don't, or, let's do only operation or only cabin.
Okay.
We need these, everything that Chief Stitzel laid out. And so that's how we made the decision. Now we come back, and the decision is, do we put it back on, or do the communities speak and say, hey, not palatable, we don't want these services. We're okay with the aging vehicles. We're okay with this level of staffing.
Right.
And so we started having that discussion at council, and the residents in the audience chimed in, which was really helpful because the council in general, our initial thought was, hey, what we don't want to do is just throw this on the ballot every time until it passes.
Absolutely. Sure.
That's not how we operate.
Yes.
When the voices are heard, we move forward. But the people that were in the council meeting spoke up, not even in reception of visitors. They just chimed in from the audience, which was great. And they said, hey, this wasn't a mandate. This was a primary election with low voter turnout, and it failed by less than 100 votes.
Sure.
Put it back on in a general.
Oh.
And it changed the entire discussion of city council by saying, yeah, maybe this wasn't the full voice of the voters because it wasn't a general election, which has higher voter turnout.
Sure.
So we are discussing putting it back on the ballot because we know the needs there.
Yep.
And we're going to go through the same process of getting out and educating, inviting people to the Division of Fire and EMS to go through and see the needs, see the staffing levels, see the aging vehicles and apparatus. We're going to go through that whole process again and then make the decision.
Yeah.
Listen to these online surveys and make the decision. Are we putting this back on the ballot? Are we putting it back on the ballot at a different millage?
Yeah.
Are we putting it capital improvements? Are we putting it operations only?
Okay.
But we need to hear from the people.
Well, let's just be very clear. Yeah. Nobody wants to put a levy on.
No.
That is not what we want to do. It is.
Why not?
It's a need.
Why don't people want to put a levy on? I mean, tell me that.
As an elected official.
Yeah, tell me.
What we want to do is provide the best services and not. We provide. We don't ask for. We're at a point where we have to ask for.
Sure.
And it's not a comfortable feeling. It's not something we want to do.
Right.
And that's why we stretch 10 years of money into 13 years.
Okay.
We do everything to avoid going back to the residents and saying, we need an ask from you as much as they ask from their local government and deserve for all the things we provide.
All right.
We don't like to ask for
that makes sense.
anything from them.
Right.
But sometimes it's required.
Okay.
And this is an instance where the city council felt it is required.
Okay. So we're going to bring in Chief Stitzel. He's going to come in. He's going to tell us what some of these needs are, help educate us. But from your point of view, and also you, Jonathan, you want to hear from people, right? So please go online, answer these questions.
Yep.
Tell us what you're thinking, because you're going to have to decide. You and council are going to have to decide here pretty soon if you put this back on the ballot, and you'd love some input. So before Brent leaves, make sure that,
we make all of our decisions based on the input of the residents.
Okay.
And every single person, everyone has an opinion after we've made the decision.
Okay.
We have not made the decision.
Yep.
Give your opinion now so your voice can be part of the decision.
Okay. All right.
That's so important.
All right. Well, let's bring in the chief so we can ask him about some of these needs.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so welcome, Chief Sitzel, to the program. Thanks for coming in. We have lots of questions for you, and we're hoping to educate some of the community on what the needs are. So anybody who didn't make those town hall meetings, we're kind of going through some of these things again. So tell me, you just said we don't want to put a levy on. The mayor just said we have to.
Yep.
And I mean, obviously, I already said I've had a fire in my home, so I know exactly what it means to have those kinds of services at my disposal, saving the lives of my pets and other things. So needs, personnel, apparatuses, operators, planning. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? What do you need, and why is it a need, not a want?
So obviously fire is one of the most devastating things that can happen to somebody's home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fire, when it does happen, it happens quickly, unexpectedly. Fire grows exponentially, which means the bigger it gets, the faster it grows. Mm-hmm. Time is of the essence. And there's no time to waste. So having a crew trained, ready to go in the station 24/7 is paramount.
Right.
And when you call 911, you want somebody leaving the station immediately.
Right.
You want ample services. You want enough people, because it does take quite a few number of people. A one-story residential home takes up to 16 firefighters to handle appropriately. Now, we're not going to have 16 in this station, but with our mutual aid partners, we can get up to that crew.
But you can get there fast and get it started.
We can get there fast. We can get there started. So we're in the city. We're centrally located. But, if we have enough people on hand ready to respond, we can get there quick. The quicker we get there, the smaller the fire is, the easier it is to put out, the less damage there is.
Yes.
Right? So we need to be at the ready. We also have overlapping calls. So there's a lot of times, about 25, 30% of the time, we're already out on an emergency when somebody calls 911.
There's a car wreck, right?
Yeah,
you guys are out there doing something, and then
somebody having a heart attack. So there's 2-3 people already out of the station. So right now our average staffing is 6 to 7 people a day.
Right.
We're supposed to be at 9, but because of funds, because of staffing issues, we're already below what we're supposed to be at.
Clearly an important part of
right. Absolutely. Personnel is what makes the job happen. That's what gets the job done is personnel.
Yeah.
The other
Apparatuses.
part of this, apparatus, and we have one fire engine that's 6 years old, and it's in really good shape, but it's being used every day, all day. And our backup apparatus is anywhere, we have 2 that are 26 years old, one's 28 years old.
Okay.
This apparatus is, by the time it gets replaced, there's a 3-year lead time.
Okay.
It's going to be well over 30 years old.
Understandable.
And we have one fire engine right now. It's been out of service since early March. We're waiting on parts because it's so old. It's taken a long time to get them shipped in. It's still not being repaired yet.
Right.
So there was a time where I had 3 pieces of fire apparatus broke down at the same time. We're
not a good situation.
Yeah, our primary fire engine was a 28-year-old fire engine, and
right.
You're just
so. I mean, I can make some logical connecting the dots, right? But just tell it to me straight. What are the consequences of not having the personnel? You talked about that a little bit, and not fixing the apparatuses. If we don't put the levy on, right? You don't get the additional funding. Now what? What happens? What does that mean for me?
Yeah, the funds just don't exist, right? I mean,
you can't you don't have a money tree.
There's no money tree. And the reality is that not only are these costly pieces of vehicles that have to be purchased, but the costs have exponentially risen in the past 5 years. So it's not only a matter of, these were expensive vehicles to begin with, but what is it, 40% increase in the past 5 years of apparatus?
42% increase.
Ouch.
In 5 years,
So what we used to pay, literally the ladder truck that was purchased for the city in right before I arrived in 1998, that ladder truck cost the same amount as our most recent fire engine that we purchased.
Wow.
So that ladder truck today is an additional $1 million over what its original purchase price was.
Okay.
So there is no opportunity for a city to absorb that type of price increase, especially when we have this many pieces of apparatus that need to be replaced.
And I just want to be clear, there's no grants, there's no other funding source, there's nowhere else to go and get this other than the levy. Like the mayor said, we don't want to put this levy on, we have to. This is a need. So I see this is actually a need, not a want.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
No, the need is there. It's very real.
Yes.
We do try to get every grant that comes available, but there are no grants that repair apparatus. The grants that are there, there's few and far between. None of them are guaranteed. We do have a grant right now that helps pay for firefighters.
Sure.
Those grants are changing. They do come from FEMA. So the uncertainty of FEMA and the future of funding.
Yeah. And those have an end date, right? I mean, those are ending. They're coming up.
The one that we have right now ends in December of 26.
Yeah.
So when that's over, then we no longer have any funds to continue those paid positions that support. So it'll be over.
Right.
And we're not actually able to take advantage of the funding that we have available, right? Because ultimately, those positions, that grant funded 9 positions. So 9 sounds like a lot, but remember, we work at 24, 40 hours.
Yeah.
So one person on duty for 24 hours, and then they're off for 48 hours. The next crew on duty for 24 off. So that happens 3 different times. So that 9 people is actually spread across three different shifts, right? And so we have openings and for a funding position for 7 firefighter paramedic positions.
Okay.
And we had the highest number of applicants that we've had in a very, very long time. We had 8 people that applied for those 7 positions. So coming out of the levy or coming into the levy, we felt like we were in really, really good shape.
Sure.
Unfortunately, though, the levy didn't pass, which means there's no guaranteed funding.
So now you have people looking
what happened?
Right?
Well, 4 of those accepted full-time positions with other departments in the region. And we weren't able to hire them. So we're losing them. They're currently part-time, but they're taking full-time positions other places. If we do get the levy, we may not be able to recapture them back.
Sure.
So we're losing this, and we're not able to.
And this is the thing, the competitiveness of the fire service. There are so few individuals who are entering the fire service right now. That there's just not enough people coming through the system. If anybody wants to join the fire department, please give us a phone call. We actually do take residents and bring them up, provide the training, and they can serve as a volunteer firefighter. These are critical components, but we're talking at the other end of the spectrum. We're talking seasoned people who are functioning at the full-time firefighter certification, the EMS level of paramedic. So you have to be an EMT before you're a paramedic. The technical rescue, the hazardous materials, all of the things that people don't recognize actually happens within the fire service. Those people, there are very, very few people that are even available, which has made the competitiveness extremely high, which impacts the cost of hiring these people,
cost and quality,
retaining those people.
Absolutely.
And then that's where we find ourselves right now, where we're a little stuck.
You had mentioned to me at one point that the level of your police, and I know we're police fire, completely different areas, but you had mentioned, well, first responders are first responders, right? But you had mentioned to me that your police department, because of what you're able to do, has actually become a destination police department. So
100%.
So I'm not going to say you have your pick, but you definitely have people that are very interested in coming here. That's a really great position to be in.
It is.
Obviously, that's what we would want for our fire as well. You guys maintain that here at the staff level. Obviously, your council is amazing with all of their experience. Police is of that. We need to get the fire there too, so that we are all on that same level of, hey, Franklin is here. We are here at this level. And I think that's what I hear you saying, right? You want that level of service in the fire department as well. And that's what Franklin deserves.
It's what our citizens deserve, right?
That's what you deserve.
The city of Franklin has a sick population. There is a number of folks that have significant medical issues, and that takes a higher level of skill to deliver those services compassionately and faithfully. We are funded separately. So the fire department has a fire fund. The levy dollars that are collected are dedicated strictly for the fire department.
Yep.
They can't be used anywhere else.
Right.
But as a result, there's a shortage there. So the city is actually contributing more than $1 million a year to supplement just to keep the fire department where they are at today.
Right.
But
to protect the citizens.
To keep the level of service where it's at. But there's nothing, once this fire grant drops off, the SAFER grant drops off, there's nothing to replace those funds. So
and the city can't keep putting that kind of money in. It's just not, it's not possible.
So we're going to have to, heaven forbid that we find ourselves in that position. But really the need is very clear. I think it's very defensible. I welcome anybody to come down and tour the fire department. The Chief Stitzel would be happy to show people exactly what those challenges are and the fact that we are literally having to have parts made to get these trucks back in service.
I mean, I know the mayor isn't on here now, but it feels like this has to happen. I mean, I hate to, I don't want to make the decision for council, and obviously we want people to weigh in. So come weigh in, because what am I not seeing? I mean, am I missing it? What am I missing, Chief? You're not.
You're
okay.
Not
All right. What am I missing here?
No, you're really not.
Jonathan, what am I missing? You used to be a fire chief. How, I mean, this feels like it's just critical. I don't know how else to say it.
It is critical. And it's something that, you know, I view it like this way. We have, I say we because I've been in the fire service for so long, but
once a fireman, always a fireman, right? You'll always be that. Yeah.
I feel like we've shown up for our community faithfully, loyally, with very high level quality of staff, very highly trained individuals, who go above and beyond in all ways. Right. And I think we need this community to show up in return, right? Because ultimately, fire trucks don't put out fires. Ambulances don't take people to the hospital. It's people that have to do that. But in the same breath, even if we have the people, we need the apparatus that starts at 3 o'clock in the morning on the first try, right? Because it's got to go out the door, and there is literally no time. These are life and death situations, and we need to make sure that we are delivering the quality of care in the service that this community needs. Yeah, and we have all the right people to do it. Right.
Chief, I've got written down here, wet stuff on the red stuff. I mean, maybe it's not that simple, right? But that really is what you're out there doing. So, I mean, any last words to help educate what we really need?
When we get right down to it, that's what needs to be done. We need people. We need our firefighters, and we wear multiple hats. And that's, I mean, at the base of it, we are firefighters. We go put the water on the fire to put it out, but we are also auto extrication technicians. We're hazmat. Right. We do rescues. We rescue cats out of trees. We do. You know, there's a
save people from running in front of moving cars.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just a little bit ago, I ran out and grabbed a bag of trash out Middle Riley Boulevard because it fell off a truck. Sure, it's whatever needs to be done. We go out and do it. Right. We're always wearing multiple hats, so it's. We need that support from the community so we can continue providing all these services. Right. Earlier, the city manager was talking about the opioid overdoses and the homelessness, and we have done such a tremendous job in curtailing that. Our overdoses are way down in this community, and it's a big, you know, because of our work that we've done, not just as firefighters, but the other hats that we wear. Yep. And it's because of all these things that we do. Our EMS, we're paramedics, we're EMTs. We have so many jobs that people need to understand. It's not just, you know, going to a fire. It's we do so many other things. Our fire inspections, our prevention. I'm also the arson investigator. Ooh. So I do a lot of other things besides just being the fire chief. So you're not just supporting a firefighter. Right. You're supporting a whole host of services that this department provides to the community. Yep. We absolutely need that support from this community.
Well, and you said earlier, you started talking about, you know, the partnership with police. Yes. The reality is police and fire and emergency services work together.
All together.
Right. Yes. And so they need us just like we need them.
Absolutely. That's a partnership. That's a true partnership.
It is a true partnership.
And there's a nice rivalry there, and it's a lot of fun to watch sometimes. But it is a true, when it comes down to it, that's a partnership.
It is a partnership. And the reality is that we need each other. Yeah. And in order to serve this community well, we have to invest on the fire and EMS side, just like we've invested in the infrastructure, our law enforcement, whatever it is. We need to meet the needs that allows us to serve this community well.
Well, I would say thank you both very much. And the City of Franklin, please let us know how you're feeling about that. I think this levy is really important, as everybody does. And we would like to know what you'd like the City Council to vote on. How do you want them to vote? What do you want your fire services to look like? What do you want the future of your first responders to look like here?
How can you help us get you to a yes? Because that's ultimately what we need. What are you comfortable with supporting? What are we able to do to continue to take good care of you now and into the future?
Right. How do we get your support for this? Let us know online. Thanks for listening to this part of Frankly Franklin, because I think this is probably one of the more important podcasts we've done. Stick with us for the next one. Who knows what else we'll come up with.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.